All right, hello everybody. Welcome. All right, sorry about that. I guess I'm talking a little fast, but I just want to say welcome to the introduction to the very first episode of the Victorious Ones podcast. My name is Von Bresper Jr., aka King Von Jr. You can find me on Instagram at King Von Jr. or you can also follow me on Twitter. You can also follow me on Twitter at 301 King Von Jr. And this podcast, is definitely gonna just pretty much just a combination of the different things I like to talk about, just for me to get a lot of stuff off my brain, whether it's in the world, whether it's just all kinds of things when it comes to world of pop culture, whether it is whether it's movies, whether it's comics, whether it's games, sports, even a word of wisdom. Sometimes you never know what you're going to get. So, like I said, with all that being said, I like to consider this the Victorious Ones podcast. Without further ado, I would like to give my review, my thoughts. I would like to give my review of Spider-Man: No Way Home and what I think the future will hold for Spider-Man when it comes to the MCU and just beyond. So, of course, the movie starts off um, a meet, and so with that being said, the movie starts off immediately after what happens in Spider-Man Far From Home, which of course is the death, which of course included the death of Mysterio, where Peter Parker was seen as public enemy number one. He was vilified, he was hated. I mean, like I say, he was just going through so much scrutiny, so much persecution, to the point where him, Aunt May, MJ, and Ned are all investigated, interrogated, all the way up until the point where he's able to find the best lawyer in all of New York, Matt Murdock, aka Daredevil. Shout out to Charlie Cox for reprising this role, and the thing about it was that he was just so much of a scene stealer, similar to how Doctor Strange was a scene stealer in Thor Ragnarok, and how he's a scene stealer in Strange is also a scene stealer in this movie. That's how Daredevil was just the few short minutes that he's in there. And so of course on the flip, of course it's of course the thing about it is that of course the thing about it, because of how great Murdoch is as a lawyer. He's the best lawyer. He's the best lawyer in all of New York. With so of course with that being said, even though he was able to make sure that Peter didn't go to jail, at the same time he still let Peter know that still let Peter, MJ, and Ned, let all of them know that there's still the court of public opinion that he would still have to battle. And of course, and of course, with the court of public opinion, is that even though Peter's not going to jail, he's still seen as public enemy number one. He's still vilified. He's still hated, and so it's gotten to the point where the public hates both him and Spider-Man at the same time. So what Peter ends up doing, he ends up going to the Sanctum Sanctorum and pays a visit to Doctor Strange, only to find out that Doctor Strange is no longer truly the Sorcerer Supreme. Is actually Wong. Doctor Strange is no longer the Sorcerer Supreme. Sorcerer Supreme is actually Wong because of what happened with the 5-year blip. However, Wong is only there for a short amount of time. He ends up leaving. Excuse me. Oh, sorry about that. Sorry about that. Because I'm talking pretty fast. But talking pretty fast. But excuse me, talking pretty fast. But the only thing about with Wong, he's only there for a short period of time. He ends up leaving, similar to how he did, just like how he did in Infinity War. With that being said, long story short, Peter ends up going to Doctor Strange, asks him to cast a spell that makes everybody forget that he was ever Spider-Man, and come to find out the main reason why he wants Strange to do that is because he wants to make sure that him, MJ, and Ned or at least Ned and MJ are or at least, like I said, or slow down, or at least MJ and Ned are able to go to MIT, And so of course after multiple interruptions by Peter, making sure that MJ doesn't forget about him, that Ned doesn't forget about him, that Aunt May doesn't forget about him. After all those things, Strange finds out that Peter wants that Strange finds out that Peter wants him to cast a spell to brainwash the whole world to forget that he's Spider-Man, all because he wants his friends to go to school. So Peter's like, yeah. So Strange was like, of course with that being with it being said, Strange gives Peter a little bit of common sense advice to tell him to call the admissions lady, at least to find out where she is. Come to find out when he tries to call her, he's not able to get an answer. Long story short, he's able to find her whereabouts, or on the highway because she's going to the airport. However, let me start. How like I said, like I said, only thing about it, only thing about it, when he finally meets her, he ends up getting interrupted by Doc Ock and Green Goblin, and the thing about it, of course, this is where the whole multiverse thing comes in. So this is where the whole multiverse multiverse situation comes into play, and to the point where Doc Ock and Green Goblin both think that this Spider-Man is the same Spider-Man from the universe. Come to find out that he's not, and Spidey's able to only come to find out that he's not, and the MCU Spider-Man is able to outsmart Doc Ock. And the MCU Spider-Man is able to outsmart Doc Ock enough to save the admission lady's life, and so if admission lady's life he's able to save her life. So the thing is, he's able to save her life just to make sure that Ned and MJ both Ned and MJ all get another chance to Ned and MJ all get another shot to apply and get accepted into MIT. So after that being said, after that being said, Peter has a whole nother Pandora'S Box Crisis on his hands with the situation with the multiverse. Doctor Strange explains to him the reason why that all these different characters are out of their respective timelines, whether it's the Green, like all out of their respective timelines for the Green Goblin, Doc Ock, Electro, Lizard, and Sandman is the only like I said, the only reason why they're out of their respective timelines is because as Strange was doing that spell when Peter was interrupting him, that opened up the multiverse, and so Doctor Strange puts of course that opens up the multiverse. So Doctor Strange puts Peter, MJ, and Ned all in charge of sending them all back to their timelines, aka Scooby Doo. This whole thing. So with that being said, because of the empathy that Peter has for other people, and with that being said, because of Peter's empathy that was passed down from Aunt May, he looks for the good in all of them, no matter what they've done. So he tries to create, and think about it, he tries to create some type of cure with that technology, some type of cure with that start technology, like I said, to at least restore them, redeem them. However, Peter's Spidey senses go off, and however, this is the moment where Peter's Spidey senses go off because of the Green Goblin. This leads to this, sorry about that. However, this is the situation where Peter's Spidey senses go off with, and the reason why they go off is because of the Green Goblin, which leads to that fight slow down, which ultimately leads to that fight, that cost Aunt May her life, and her last dying words are the classic, "With great power comes great responsibility." And so after that, Peter ends up leaving. He, the thing about it is that MJ and Ned are trying to find his whereabouts, and so it just so happens that Ned still has Doctor Strange's ring, so he can open up the portals. And so each time he opens up a portal looking for Peter Parker, there are two different Peter Parkers, which of course happen to be Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. And so of course, this was the highlight of the entire movie, and it ends up being the ultimate highlight of the movie. And so of course, with that being said, that they tell them, of course, with that being said, MJ and Ned tell them that they're looking for their friend Peter, and they're looking for their version of Peter Parker. So they're able to find them, and so once they do, this is when all the three different Spider-Men collaborate and create some type of cure to, like I said, that this is when all three of the Spider-Men collaborate, share their own stories from their own timelines and everything like that. And as they're doing so, they create different cures for each of these villains just in time for the final battle, which is of course at the Statue of Liberty with the giant Captain America shield. However, like I said, slow down. Let me slow down. Let me slow down. This is, like I said, the final battle is at the Statue of Liberty with a huge Captain America shield, and of course Doctor Strange comes, and like I said, the final battle, like I said, the final battle is at the Statue of Liberty with the giant Captain America shield, just with Doctor Strange to come back just in time after being stuck in the mirror dimension for like 12 hours after Peter tricked him or whatever. And so Doctor Strange comes back just in time to manage the different multiverses, just in time for each of these characters to go back to their timelines. And of course, the final part of the battle comes down once again full circle to MCU Spider-Man versus the Green Goblin. And once again, Willem Dafoe, everybody, he is, he's definitely a scene stealer. He personifies the Green Goblin, and there's no question at all that Green Goblin is Spider-Man's greatest villain, his greatest rival, his greatest nemesis. And the thing is, in this movie, each time they encounter each other, they're always ready for the smoke. They're always going for blows to the, and like I said, it's constant going for blood. MCU Spider-Man was filled with so much rage, so much anger. He was going for the kill. He was, like I said, he was giving them all kind of combinations to the point where he even took the Goblin glider, and he was at this, like I said, this close to taking out the Green Goblin. However, in the distance, Toby and Andrew saw the path that the Tom Holland Spider-Man was going down, and they had to stop him. And like I said, they saw the path that he was going down. And just as MCU Spider-Man is taking the Goblin, like I said, just as the MCU Spider-Man is going to go for the final blow with the Goblin glider, Toby steps up from behind him, snatches it from him, only for the Green Goblin to stab him. Thankfully, he survives just in time for Doctor Strange to send everybody back to their respective timelines. However, MCU Spider-Man realizes that it's best that everybody forgets that he was Spider-Man to make sure that everybody's memory is erased of him being Spider-Man. So he goes to Doctor Strange, asks him to do the spell with no exceptions. Strange does it. Before he says it, he's like, "Are you sure?" Like I said, Tom Holland Spider-Man was like, "Yes, I want to go ahead and do it." And in the very end, be like, sorry about that. So of course, in the very end, it's as if he never existed. He was so removed from that identity it's as if Peter never existed. And so of course this it's me. And so of course this left. Sorry, let me slow down. So of course with that being said, at least this left a window open open for the MCU Spider-Man to start over, and to even swing through New York with the classic, super original Spider-Man costume. And so, excuse me, like you know, and to let me slow down. And like I was saying, this was pretty much this was literally an entire reset. And so, and like I said, this was literally an entire reset. And of course, in typical Marvel fashion, they have two end credit scenes. One is the mid credit scene. The other one is one is the mid credit scene. The other one is the post credit scene. In the mid credit scene, they show Tom Hardy's Venom in some bar in Mexico before he ends up dis before he ends up disappearing and like I said, they show Tom Hardy's Venom in Mexico. Tom Hardy's Venom in Mexico. Sorry, they show Tom Hardy's. Sorry, they show Tom Hardy's Venom in Mexico right before he disappears, only for him to leave a trace of the symbiote, which is enough to open up the door for Venom in the MCU. It may not be Tom Hardy. It may, we never know, but at least it opens up the door for the door for Spider-Man versus Venom in the MCU. However, they want to go about it. The second post-credit scene, of course, leads to Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. And going into this movie, there was plenty of talk. Like I said, there were all kind of talks about this movie. There was all kinds of talk about this movie being the transition just in time for Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. So with that being said, I kind of wish that there would, like I said, I seriously wish that there would have been a Sinister Six, including Venom himself. But I'm fine with what they gave us. So with that being said, this was enough to put this movie into my top three of the MCU. For number one, for me, is still Infinity War. Number two is Endgame. Number three is this movie, Spider-Man: No Way Home. And like I said, like I said, that this definitely ranks third within the MCU. So now, as far as Spider-Man's future, number one, I certainly look forward to them possibly having a live action Miles Morales, because they did have, and the reason why the reason why I want to see a live action Miles Morales is because the reason why I want to see a live action Miles Morales is because they left an Easter egg where Electro thought this whole time Spider-Man was black, which of course a Miles Morales reference. And if anybody deserves it, it's him, because of how great. If anybody deserves it, number one, it's him, because of how great Into the Spider-Verse was, and of course I definitely look forward to that. And plus, and plus, recently there's even been a trailer for for there's even been a trailer for Into the Spider-Verse. So I'll talk a little bit more. I guess that's right for another time, but for another time, but another time. But anyway, the other things I'm looking forward to in regards to the future of Spider-Man, not only Miles Morales, not only Venom, but also Rhino and Craven and whatever else that wherever other storyline that wherever other storyline that they could think of when it comes to Spider-Man, because the possibilities are endless. There's even a possibility of potentially a Secret Wars movie. So, and of course, with Secret Wars, Spider-Man was a huge part of that storyline in the comics. And so like I said, when it comes to the future of Spider-Man, it's very much bright. Just recently, he was in the Avengers game. There was a trailer for Into the Spider-Verse, and this just continues to show that this is definitely the season of Spider-Man. He is like, once again, once again, I like to continue to say that Marvel is the house of Spider-Man built. He is the biggest draw. He is the biggest star. He is, like I said, he's the franchise that, the thing is, Spider-Man is definitely a difference maker everywhere he goes. He makes an impact everywhere he goes. He is one of the ultimately most recognizable heroes of all time. Like I said, like I said, like I was saying, sorry, like I was saying, Marvel is definitely the house of Spider-Man built. and this movie continues to show that is, like I said, this movie continues to be a testament of it to the fact that this movie grossed $1 billion by Christmas in the middle of a pandemic. This movie still grossed $1 billion globally by Christmas in the pandemic era. So the future's bright, possibilities are endless. Like I said, and the thing about it when it comes to our review of this movie is between a 4.5 out of 5, if not a 5 altogether. It was, like I said, it was. If anything, it was if anything, it was like like I said, if anything, this movie was very well balanced, regardless of how many different characters were in there. This showed what to do in a Spider-Man movie with multiple characters. This, along with Spider-Verse, whereas Spider-Man 3 showed what not to do when blending different characters all together. Spider-Man 3 showed what not to do. This, in a live-action form, showed what to do. So like I was saying, all in all, I was thoroughly impressed, thoroughly intrigued. I absolutely enjoyed it. It's just and just in closing, Spider-Man is constantly a game changer, and if anything, I look forward to seeing seeing the different possibilities. Now, of course, there have also been reports of there have also been reports of the MCU doing another Tobey Maguire version of Spider-Man, Spider-Man 4, and there's even talks, that not only that, but there's even talks of doing Amazing Spider-Man 3 for Andrew Garfield, who definitely deserves it, and this movie was definitely a redemption for him. Of course, it just goes to show how amazing he truly is, and they're able to right the wrongs. Like I said, that this movie, this movie brings so much closure, but at the same time, there are other possibilities, and like I said, that this movie was definitely Andrew Garfield's redemption to the point where he even saved MJ's. Sorry about that. Like I was saying, this movie was definitely a redemption story for Andrew Garfield's. Like I said, for Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, to the point where he saved MJ to make sure that he didn't repeat the same mistake with Gwen Stacy. Like I was saying, that like I said, that this movie was definitely very, very well balanced, very well paced. It was brilliant. Like I said, if anything, if anything, it's brilliant from start to finish. I would highly recommend it. Sky's the limit. Spidey's the greatest of all time, my favorite personally, and like I said, this movie continues to be a testament of that, and those are definitely my thoughts about the movie, as well as the future of the character, and excuse me, like I said, like I was saying before, those are my closing thoughts. And if you want to follow me on Twitter at 301 King Von Jr. Follow me on Instagram at King Von Jr. I'm on Facebook. My name is Von Resper Jr. So thank you very much, and enjoy yourselves. Have a great day.